Okay. Yeah, I need as much dexterity as possible. Okay. Taking a little break. Did a little treat hunt with my kitten, who's now fast asleep. And I'm going to give this another couple shots, but then I'm going to enjoy the retreat. I allowed the game to get to me, and I think that's okay, you know? I kind of liked just letting myself be rotted. um, and leaving it down there, you know? I started approaching this game again like it was a video game. It kind of took me out of the immersion. And I kind of forgot where I'm at, you know? So I wanted to recalibrate and approach it more narratively again. And if she's still too tough, that's going to be okay. Because we'll go back again. I think I was just really ready to just be like, to take, if I felt like if I could take her on, I can do the rest of the game. And it was going to make me, I was going to feel much more relaxed about this whole experience. Like why I'm even doing this, you know? And it just started making it not fun. And it wasn't the kind of capture I was looking to do, you know? But I think part of video gaming, like, I have always found levels in games. Like when I was a kid, I would get so angry, you know? Like I think I have thrown controllers before, you know? And I really appreciate getting to that. I'm not going to say that I like this fight. No, no, no. I really do think it's truly unfair. Um, um, I feel like I could have experienced that same emotion beating it after 4 hours rather than feeling like I hit a wall at hour 3 and have been beating against the same wall for 7 hours, you know. This is the 10th episode of just me running into that thing. And when I get flustered, I start rambling. And I'm also, I think part of this process, part of this capture for me is, you know, I do have a lot of anger that I don't know how to work through, you know, like obviously therapy and all, you know, going to therapy and stuff, but I can't afford that. I don't have therapy. It's not readily available. And when I go to, as I'm trying to look for work and figure out where I'm going to take my life next, you know, it's just like, there's just a lot of anger I have for, you know, the way I was treated and in the way that this this kind of like economy and construct that we're living under, it's it's just so it's ridiculous. We don't we don't have to be living like this, you know. And it's like once you start really pulling yourself away from consumerism and just being constantly bombarded with advertising and um, consuming and not experiencing life, you know. Um, there's this video I'm going to put up called Anger for the Speeding Earth, and I made it when I probably in the year 2006 or 2007, and I had just moved to Los Angeles, and a friend of mine who later went on to be a showrunner on a pretty popular show, but um, she wanted me to like help her with edit this video she was doing, and she was like, edit it like MTV style, you know. And I got really frustrated in that process because, at the time, MTV style was like so chaotic, and everyone was just like, you just had to like rush through it. Give me the, gimme, 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 without any appreciation for the bullshit, you know. In a game like this, like you have the dung eater, you know, and it reminds you that it is this, there's a lot of shit that everyone has to deal with, and there's when you are at the top and you are in control, you don't have to be a shit eater. You make someone else be the shit eater. And if there's not a nice cycle, if it just one person, but the problem is that at some point everyone has to be a shit eater, you have to go through a shit eating phase in your life, because if you don't, then you're a snob. And that's what like I felt like my boss became. He started when we first worked together 10 13 years ago. He was so humble, and through the accumulation of money and his growing appetite for consumerism, and also consumerism affects us all because even if you're into a different aesthetic, like, oh, I don't shop at Target, I shop on eBay, it's like you're still a consumer, you're still constantly thinking about your wealth and what you can do with that wealth and consume, and there's just like it's not cyclical, there's no shit eating in that process. I think it's also like if you have a ability to change someone's life and it would do nothing for you, and that person worked for you for nearly, over, nearly a decade, and exclusively for 7 of those years, completely put away his own career, his own wants, his own desires, his own dreams to help you with your dream. And after 7 years, you have fully realized everything you want. You're married, you have a kid, you bought yourself a fucking home in Los Angeles, You have everything you can have, and then you have more than enough to change my life. And instead you go, here's a corporate severance package sent to you by my bookkeeper. Not a phone call, not a I mean, I got a text message that I got an email. And it's like, in this economy, the way AI is coming into our lives so quickly, you know, it was just incredibly cruel. And it felt like it was a betrayal in a way that I thought there was. It wasn't like a partnership. It wasn't like I was thinking I was part of the company in that way, but fuck, like $500,000 would have changed my life forever. Would have I could have done so much with my life with that sort of windfall. And $7.5 million on your side is the same as $8 million. You know? And the thing is you're still making it. You still got that money flowing in. And so it's hard. I've found myself in this place where I don't know how to go, okay, cool, yeah, no worries. I have 8 years of running a music video company and have a skill set of, operations and all these kind of things. But transferring that to another industry is like, I don't know anything about manufacturing, fabrication, all these industry jobs. I have the skill set of a project manager, but so does 40 million other people. And the thing is AI is basically, that's what AI does. I had an AI job. I just organized and made things very efficient. And you don't need that person anymore. So what is my skill set at that point, And it seems like the only jobs that are readily available to people are service jobs to the rich. And then I felt going into, counseling or some sort of, working with the community or a nonprofit, it's like you have to do that as a part-time volunteer stuff. There's no way you can make a living out of that. And in this system that we're in, it's like, it doesn't have to be that way, because if people just lived within their means, that money, that all that wealth would have been distributed across for all people. And then you can have people that make $50,000 and live a boring whatever life, if in your opinion, but can feed themselves and shelter themselves and have full body health care. And then you have people that have like $10 million and they live in mansions. That can be the breadth of our experience, but instead it is this, people are getting $1 billion. I mean, I don't think people understand that, how absurd $1 billion is. 1 billion. I mean, it's so much money that, like, we can have, you can stand in the Oval Office, in a rolling, special case today, and no one gives, there's no consequences. Other than people don't like you, but who gives a fuck? You have $300 billion. And it's the extreme, it's bringing things to these extremes that makes it such a hellscape for the rest of us that just want to live normal lives. And this idea, and it It has, there's a microcosm with my own life, but I see it, it, it it's it's exactly what we're in right now, where, the more you can grift, the better of a car salesman you are, the more money you can make, because it's all about consumerism. The, you know, Kamala Harris was not a good salesman, but Donald Trump is an incredible salesman because he's so absurd and such a clown, you know, that, people keep paying attention to him. And then when you have on the other side people that are just, politicians that just deal with the bureaucracy of things, that just seems, you don't, it's everything, it's about the sale. It's about it's all about how you can sell. That's why Elon Musk is the richest one in the world, because he was a great salesman. He's like, he's not the guy that invented the rocket. He just knew the guy. He just had to. He's like, that guy's really smart with rockets, and I think I could sell this big idea. Boom, he got SpaceX. You know, and he's just a great salesman, and that's how he has accumulated his wealth. Now, of course, who knows? At this point, he's not doing a great job, but it doesn't matter. He's already accumulated all that wealth. Who gives a fuck? He doesn't. And I think my anger as a human comes from other people, my inability to not have people like that influence my life, or include them in my life, you know. And I have to learn to work with that. I have to learn to get over that. That's my weakness as a to be a fully realized human, because there's going to be shitting in the world. In my opinion, is that we all have to share the shit eating. It has to be cyclical. And when wealth is this um, uneven and imbalanced, it's not cyclical. It's become this big lump, and it has created these two twins. It has created rot and nascency. People cannot create and manifest and do what they want in their life because of this current order. And on the other end of it, on the twin side of it, things are just rotting away. People are just rotting in front. We have literal brain rot on YouTube. And so, like, and I think I meet my frustration in this, like, little fight here, is that I can't, it feels unfair. And I think when I return back to the narrative of it, I can appreciate this fight more than I would in the gameplay of it, because I hate the gameplay of it. All right, I'm out.
Ah, thou, is it thy wish to yet again be born anew? Now, bear this sweeting into life anew.
Oh, I forgot I... All right. Okay, cool. Noted. All right, so put that there. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go back to here. Wow. Need to buy some. I want to buy some. Right, we're going to leave all of that behind us. Oh. feel like we got a good taste of who MALANIA is. And the rot that sits at the roots of the hallowed tree here. And it got to me, I'm going to be honest. So I think now it's time to go find Mikola. Next time.